Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay. If you're new here, hello, welcome. In today's video, it is officially week 2 for Miss Penny, and she's been doing phenomenal. This first clip, we're just working on a little bit of round penny. You can see she's really starting to pick up on the whoa and turning. She's getting it down really, really well. Good girl. A little bit of a weird blow up there. Telling her not to slip in her own pee.
You're feeling good this morning.
You can tell that I'm definitely walking up a lot faster. She's still a little bit head shy, so we're getting around to that at this point. Just getting a little bit of that pressure and release with her pole, trying to get her to drop her head down for me so that she's not acting like a giraffe with how tall she is. Working a little bit on that almost self-haltering idea of dropping her nose down into the halter. It obviously wasn't great, but I went with it for today. This was the first day too that we had someone else come out and kind of watch what I was doing with her. So it was her first time really seeing other people. We had some friends come down to visit because I just had the baby like 2 months prior. So it was definitely interesting to watch her because there was obviously a little bit more distraction going on, and she still was pretty attentive to what I was asking. Here, obviously, that's Garrett standing there, and this was the first time that she really chose to approach him, which was really, really, really cool to watch.
Good girl. Good girl. Okay, pull your hand away and step back. Good girl. Good job, Mama. Look how brave you are. Okay, put your hand back in there. Don't go straight for her face. If she'll kind of touch you with her face, it's fine. Good girl. Good girl.
I was definitely impressed with how well she took to just walking over to him like it was no big deal.
That hay bale kind of sucks. Yeah. It really like falls apart.
Just want to divide it up, right? There you go, Pony. Sorry you didn't do more work.
I think she needed it today. Just face off for like she's getting in tonight. Come here. She's getting off there.
Normally, I'm not all for kind of blocking a food path for a Mustang, but I wanted her to understand that it isn't an issue for me to feed or for her to try to eat out of my hands. It's not gonna hurt her at all. She was feeling herself this morning.
You feeling good? I wasn't paying attention.
It's so funny to watch her because she loves to just trot right on top of you. Like, obviously I'm still safe-ish, but she doesn't stay on the rail, which is really interesting.
What is that? Are you feeling real good? Huh?
We started working on some pivoting, and she was doing pretty well with it. Basically, the way I taught her was I would kind of put my hand out as just kind of an energy to move away from. And slowly I would put a little bit more pressure, as in like just kind of touch her with my hand, maybe apply a little bit more pressure with a finger, and then a little bit more with my palm until she decided to move off of it. As soon as she moved, I would release.
Okay. Good. Yes. Good girl.
They're obviously not good forehand turns or anything, but this was the very beginning stages of teaching her, so I wanted just any sort of positive step forward. We were going to call it with that. Here we were practicing a little bit more leading, just trying to keep her nice and soft. I wanted the least amount of pressure on the lead rope as possible. And her stopping was lovely. As soon as I would stop, she would stop. With backing, she's never been difficult. It's been continuous pressure. If I just hold, she starts to back off. My big thing when it comes to teaching leading, I try not to look back at them. I try to just keep my eyes forward and look where I'm going and just keep walking like we're no big deal. Hence her kind of pulling back a little bit, and I just keep moving like that's all we're doing. There she kind of stopped a little bit ahead, so I wanted her to back up so that she was a little bit more even with me. Our first time out of the pen, and she was phenomenal. Obviously just a little bit jumpy because we're in a new space. This is technically new, even though it's literally right outside of her pen.
Good. Foot. Good girl. Good.
I just was kind of curious as to what she would do, so I picked up her foot, made her spook a little bit, but I love that she was a little bit spooky, but just quieted right back down.
Hi, pretty girl.
I was trying to get her to eat grain out of my hand, and I think she wasn't totally sure of what grain was, plus she still didn't want to touch my hand. We started doing a little bit of trotting over poles, so before this we just did some walking over it, but we're doing a little bit of trotting. I don't want her to turn away from me, so because she loves to stay so close to me, it was really difficult to get her to go over the pole sometimes, because she would just stay in tight and just avoid going over it. I think this was day like 9 or 10, and she was already totally cool. Not totally cool, but she was coming around to the idea of a hose and a bath. And the way I approached her with this, I wanted her to kind of come up to it on her own. So I was trying to find the right setting here, trying to get to the mist setting, and I think that I just had so much rock and debris in there that it wasn't really a mist setting, but she just stood there while I sprayed her with the mist, which was really, really cool. And I don't feel like she was shut down. Especially, I wanted to do a lot of this stuff at Liberty so that she had the option to walk away. But you see how wet she is here. I mean, we literally sprayed her down completely, and she was totally okay with it, which was insane to me. I wanted to see what she would do if I kind of held it up over her head
Good
so that she could
girl.
kind of put her head in it if she wanted to. She wasn't a huge fan,
Oh, that
but
feels
she
good.
still
That's so
volunteered to do that
nice.
sometimes, which was really cool.
That's so nice. Good girl. Good girl.
Obviously, we weren't quite to 100-degree days here, but it was definitely warm, so I think that the hose felt good to her at that point.
Good girl. Good girl. What a good girl. Good girl. You're so brave. That's a very good girl.
This is the following day. I still wanted to continue a lot of that pressure and release aspect. And this was the interesting part with her, is I got to the point that I would kind of hold the faucet out, and if she touched it with her nose, I would turn it on. And when she would reach out again and touch it with her nose, I would kind of turn it off and just see what she would do with that. And that way, it was kind of in her control as to what we were doing. Obviously, we're still getting a bath, but it was like, oh, hey, if I touch it, then I can reach out and turn it on, if that makes sense. And this is a different setting. I turned it on to shower instead of mist, so it was a little bit more pressure. I love that she kind of turned around, but then she still decided to stay right there. She could have walked to completely the other end of the pen, but she stayed right there. Every once in a while, I would kind of pull it away and see what she would do. And she's so funny because she just enjoys the water.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, can we not take that down this time?
Working a little bit more on haltering. You could see her just kind of drop her head, but she was getting smart and turning it away from me just slightly. This just goes to show, too, that there's always something that we can continue to work on with Mustangs. It's never like, oh, we're completely done with haltering within the first week, so let's just not really practice it anymore. Like, I still will go in and put it on and take it off and put it on and take it off, and just to get her to remember what we need and what we need to do. And to this day, we still work a little bit on that self-haltering idea.
Where is he running? You're fine, Sage. Don't be dumb.
My neighbor's horse was losing his mind in the other pasture, so of course then the girls are very distracted. You can see her really trying to focus on halter, but also very distracted by what Sage is doing, what the other horse is doing. You can see Sage's nose just peeking out.
Good. Yes, good girl.
You can hear me ask for that down, and I put just a little bit of pressure on her nose to get her to drop her head.
Okay. Good. Good. Moose! What are you doing?
Here I'm yelling at my dog because I don't know what he was doing. Again, he does weird things.
Good.
can see that she's fighting it just a little bit, but as soon as she does step forward, I give her that release of pressure.
I think that was a little bit cheating. That.
A little bit cheating in the aspect that she technically stopped before I asked her to. I didn't want her kind of coming at me, so she still needs to respect my bubble, but I want her to just back quietly.
You are so brave. You are so brave. Good girl.
She was finally starting to accept some little nose smooches, so I was really excited about that. We were getting to the point that I really wanted to be able to deworm her. I wanted to be able to have 2 sets of dewormer done before the competition. And so right here, all I was working on was coming over and kind of sticking my thumb in her mouth. And we did that quite a few times, but it's pretty boring content, to be honest. So you can see I've got something in my hand. It's definitely dewormer. So this was the next morning. We're just kind of checking it out. I just wanted her to kind of smell it, see what it was. I could touch her on the face with it. That was definitely new for her because her face is already sensitive to my hands alone. So to have another object touching her was something that definitely was new and scary. We did that quite a few times before we moved on to kind of holding her head like I would for dewormer and just touching her face with it again. See, she's still a little bit anxious about it. You can see I'm just kind of sticking my finger in just to get her, again, kind of used to that feeling of something being in her mouth.
Good. Good girl.
It's definitely a slow process. This is not something that I like to rush, and even watching it now, there's little bits that I'm like, I wish I would have slowed down just a little, but even
Just
that
a
was
little
really
taste.
good with such a nice smile.
Oh, we don't like it. Down.
I almost kind of wish that I just gave her all of it in that first one because she tolerated it pretty well, and now she's like, no, it tasted weird.
Shoot, I lost my grip. I'm sorry. Ooh. Good. Good. I know it's yucky. It's so yucky. It's so yucky. Oh, we actually got like all of it. Good girl. Good girl. Yes, good girl. She says that was disgusting. That was nasty. I know, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll keep the 2. Ooh.
I believe this is
Good
day
girl.
12 or 13. She was on something.
Oh my god. I don't know where you're getting that from, but it's really cute, but also it's not supposed to be.
Exactly what I just said. It's funny to watch her do it, but it's also something that I'm like, I should not encourage this. This is definitely dangerous. See, I'm trying to really get her speed up when, in all actuality, like, she's got her speed up fairly well. I probably could have just stepped back and let her do her thing.
Good. Good girl. Girlfriend. Ooh. Whoa. Hey.
She just makes me laugh. Even watching this now, it just makes me laugh. I don't know what that was.
Whoa. Whoa. Ah!
At this point, I literally was just trying to get her to stop and turn into me, but
Your step.
she was a little bit wired.
Shut up.
So we finally get one that's mediocre here, where she kind of settles. She doesn't really totally turn in, but when I chose to just back up, she turned into me, which is what I wanted. So that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in next week's video. Bye, guys.